or you have questions for the Attorney General?
Good morning, Samson. In fact, it raises more questions for me than answers, listening to the AG's remarks. Because as you read the latter part of the letter written under the hand of Evelyn D. Kilson, and we must also put it on record that this letter is dated, I think, the 25th of April, 2024. So it's fairly new in that respect. And again, I think it's important to quote it. He says that, quote, even though as part of your mandate you could, it didn't say they did, commence investigations into the sources of the money found in the home of the suspects, we do not find this necessary since this office before the reference by the USP had instructed the police service, who are already seized with other aspects of the case, to investigate the sources of the huge sums of money found in the home of the suspects, and it goes on and on. So clearly, from this letter and all the premises that are made before that, it comes across to me that the IOCO has not done fully the investigations that are required, and it's more or less the AG's office trying to stem their hand and trying to tell them that, no, don't go into doing any of the necessary investigations that are there. And this is quite contrary to what the AG has just said on this platform, a few moments ago, because it says that they don't find it necessary. So in essence, don't go and do the investigation. And for me, again, the optics of it is not right, because my worry from all that is happening is that this case may become one of those cases that we see in Ghana. It's a foolish case, right? That it will go back and forth, and we may never see fully the light of day in terms of any substantive convictions or any of those, actions that are meant to be taken. Because there's already a certain perception, and you see that in the CDD report, in other reports, that some of the alleged corruption or corrupt cases involving certain appointees of the administration are not being investigated properly, and people are being more or less, let go in that context. And I think this fits into that narrative or that public perception, that is out there. And I also get worried because, again, listening to the AG and other sort of government spokespersons on this, the impression is created that the OSP hasn't done or didn't do a thorough job in their investigations. So in the letter, they make reference to the FBI collaboration and the work that they're doing in trying to prove this particular offense or not. But again, we don't know for sure whether that FBI work has been concluded. And then they also mentioned the fact that the OSP itself did not provide all of the required documentation to IOCO in order to be able to further, do its work. But it all comes down substantively to the point of law. And I'm no lawyer, but what I read basically from the summary of the 3-pager document under the hand of the Chief State Attorney and others is that the crime of money laundering and structuring, more or less, they are struggling to prove that. And I'm just sitting here shaking my head. So even if we cannot prove that, for argument's sake, are there not other offenses within our statutes and codes that we can allow IOCO and other agencies to thoroughly investigate and therefore, bring the matter to its natural conclusion, rather than this attempt from this letter to try to, force or stymie the hand of IOCO into doing what it should be doing?
We understand from the OSP that when the IOCO wrote to return the docket back to them, the letter that accompanied the returning of the docket they had referred to the IOCO had said, among other things, that, quote, in the light of the above, that is the AG's advice, we are unable to commence investigations. They use the word commence investigations, end quotes. So this is to challenge what the AG is saying, that EOCO had done its investigations.
Yeah,
we are trying to get the OSP to speak to us because they have concerns with what the Attorney General is saying and what EOCO has said. So what do you say in the light of this?
It's quite clear, Samson. It's quite clear on the surface of what you have read. And one does not even need to be a rocket scientist. You read the letter from the Chief State Attorney, it is very clear that we don't find their investigation necessary because somebody else is doing this and doing that. And for me, again, it does not speak well. The optics don't look good.
I ask Abraham Amali, but maybe same question to you. Do you think that when the Office of Attorney General received the EOCO's review or work, they should have been asking EOCO that if you have investigated, what constitutes the investigation into the explanation to the sums of money, the $1 million, the others, and the extra that the OSP found, and huge sums in bank accounts at a time when the OSP's suggestion was that she didn't have any business that was a going concern, which could bring in those monies.
Yeah, something, and that's true, because if they had done the investigation, we would have at least had some cause or some substance to prove where these sources of monies came from in terms of EOCO's work. And it is quite clear from the documents that we have read and the bits that you've also just referenced that that investigation doesn't seem to have been done. So I kind of worry a bit, when the AG is saying that EOCO did its own investigation. Who did they speak to? Which other sources did they bring in? How did they go about proving the instances of the monies, the bits of that 1 million and others? That's right. All not done.
Doc, thankfully we have the OSP's Director, Strategy, Research and Communication Division, Samuel Acheampong.